is a member of WildGamesProductions.com and D20Radio.com.
First there was the original.
I thought it might be nice for kids. Keep them off the street, you know.
Then the basic.
This is a simple game.
Then the first version of the advanced.
Good, clean, wholesome fun.
Now the hammer comes down. Welcome to THACO's Hammer, the podcast for 2nd edition Advanced Dungeons & Dragons. Well, welcome back to THACO's Hammer, number 3. Sit down, go get something to drink, give me your character sheet, and this week we also have, of course, DM Corey.
Where's the Mountain Dew?
In the fridge.
Got it.
We also have DM Bad Mike.
Who actually has a bag of Cheetos by his side, but I will not be eating during the broadcast.
Oh, man, I just finished my Cinnamon Bears. Oh, and I'm DM Glenn, your host, one of 3 hosts of THACO's Hammer, all 2nd edition, all the time.
Welcome back, everybody.
Hello. And so, let's go into hits and crits.
What do you feel like doing tonight? I don't know, Ange. What do you feel like doing?
Well, we ought to do something at Saturday night. I don't want to go bowling like last Saturday. Oh, what do you feel like doing tonight?
I don't know, Ange. What do you feel like doing?
Hits and crits. Hits and crits. What do we do 2nd edition this week, or any kind of gaming? What about you, Corey?
Well, this week I finished up some artwork for Robert Pinnell, a.k.a. Thorkhammer.
Thorky, yes.
Finished a bunch of artwork for him for his module, which is now available up online, up on Lulu. I also ran my group last night through a campaign and have them currently working to overthrow an emperor and rethrone the rightful king. So they're,
how's that going? Are they doing it?
It's weird because I don't think they're used to politics. They're used to kicking indoors and killing monsters and rolling crits, but they're not used to the behind-the-throne dealings and the scheming and the, I got to talk to this guy and make him happy in order to get this. So it's kind of fish out of water for these guys, especially when you have a Northman barbarian who's carrying around a great weapon going, I now have to know how courts work, you know? It's pretty funny.
Gotcha. What about you? Bad Mike? How you been doing this week, gaming-wise?
Well, we didn't do any gaming this week, but we finally got the thumbs up to continue our Skype campaign, which we have been running for about a year on Friday nights. And we've been on hiatus for a couple months, but we're right in the middle of I-1, the Forbidden City, and fleshed it out quite a bit. And we're having a great time with it. We just had an unfortunate series of events where we couldn't game for a while. So hopefully that's going to start up next Friday, and I'm getting excited about that. I'm getting my notes together and trying to remember where we were and trying to update the blog spot and get everything situated. So not much this week, but some more. Hopefully we'll have some news next week.
Cool. Well, myself, I haven't done any gaming because of the stage stuff, but I did get some stuff. I managed to get, at Half Price Books, I got the campaign source book and catacomb guide, which to me is probably the best splat book any edition of Dungeons & Dragons ever turned out.
It's pretty good.
I didn't realize until recently it was written by Paul Jacques.
Yes.
Of course it's good. And I've got on order the Monstrous Manual, which I got on a decent price at Amazon Marketplace. So I'm waiting on that. And you know what, guys? We have emails. We actually have emails.
Somebody listened to the show. Wow.
Yeah,
I'm
wow.
excited.
We got 4. One just came in. We got 4 emails.
We got emails. Finally, people are listening.
All right, let's see what we got here. Open up the old mailbag. From John Clement. He says, I'm hoping this gets you to you in time for the premiere. Unfortunately, it didn't, but thanks for trying, John. Congratulations on the new podcast. As a longtime listener to RFI and Save or Die, I welcome this new addition to the old. I was going to say I welcome our new to the old school D&D family of podcasts. I never played 2nd Edition nor read any 2E products, as I was satisfied to remain with my beloved 1st Edition. Even so, from listening to you on Save or Die, I look forward to what you and the other hosts are bringing to us with THACO's Hammer. As I'm unfamiliar with 2E, perhaps you can spend some time explaining the differences between it and 1st Edition. From what I picked up, the core mechanics remain the same, with just some minor tweaking here and there. It makes me wonder how it compares between the changes occurred from 3rd Editions to 3.5. Could 2E have been more accurately called 1.5 or even 1.1? Thanks in advance for what I anticipate will be hours of entertaining and informative listening. John Clement, a.k.a. Drama Man. Thank you very much. And it's Clement. Thank you, Vince. John.
We
Clement.
hope to make it entertaining for you while you listen. Keep listening.
Yeah, just keep doing what you're doing. I think you're going to find, and we will be going, I think we should actually spend some time on the differences between the editions too. And that will be, we'll take care of that in a future show. The second one is from Lon Venador. First off, I love the show. I cut my RPG teeth in 2nd Edition. I have my longest running campaign in the Faerun campaign. How do you pronounce that? Faerun?
It's Fae, like the Fae elves, Faerun.
That's what I thought. Faerun. Okay. Close. I was close.
That comes from Mr. Greenwood himself.
Oh, gotta listen.
Name dropper.
It's his campaign world. You gotta give the man credit.
Second, I would also love to volunteer to be a guest host on one of your shows. I have started my own podcast, and maybe I can get more listeners. Yet the main reason would be to get together with someone and talk about 2nd Edition. I just finished listening to the first show. Great stuff, guys. 2 things I want to comment on is the Myrmidon and the Grell. The Myrmidon kit was something of a buddy of mine used in the Faerun campaign for a long time. He liked it, yet things went off the rails because of several things that I won't get into. Another buddy of mine tried it with the game I was running. I tried the Temple of Elemental Evil in 2nd Edition. I didn't think it worked at all that well. Yet the Myrmidon was a beast of a fighter. He used the broadsword as his main weapon, and this led to one of the small issues that built up in my campaign to grind it to a halt, was weapon speed. That is a question I know almost everyone in 2nd Edition it's optional, but what is your take? Anyway, the Myrmidon is an interesting kit, and I've kept it in mind if I ever do play a warrior in a game. Well, let me say that weapon speed I don't like either. And to me, it's one of the most optional of the optional rules in 2nd Edition. What do you guys think?
That's a good idea. We should actually do a segment on one of the future shows about weapon speed, because I know there's a lot of optional rules with the weapon speed, magical items and their pluses, subtracting down and making weapons faster. For example, a normal longsword might be, 8 or 4, but like a +2 longsword would actually have a weapon speed of 2. There's a lot of options we can do. Maybe we'll look into putting that in a future show.
Yeah, I know some of the ideas we have. We're going to do something on armor class adjustment. So weapon speed factor sounds like something we can throw in there too.
Yeah, speed factor.
Two things I don't really use very much, but I wish I used a little more. But I don't like to slow down combat. I think once you get involved in combat, I just like to get into it and not to have a lot of extra rules. I don't want to 3rd edition it.
I had to deal with that in the RPGA, and it's like, to me, that was like the one thing that would slow down battle in combat, just weapon speed. He also goes on, the Grell. For a long time, I was much like Glenn, not using them, thinking they were very strange and hard to use. Then I was running the Night Below box set, and there is a section in the second part of the adventure where the PCs have to go through a large chamber with Grell. When they went through, I fell in love with these eldritch creatures. Within 5 seconds, the PCs had all been stunned except one. And that character had a string of saving throws that I've never seen duplicated. This was a Drow Thief, about 4th or 5th level. There were 5 of these creatures attacking here, and for 3 minutes, I'll let that sink in. 3 minutes in-game of combat time. This Drow saved every single one of his attacks. Enough time went by that one of the other victims of the first attack was able to move again, and a combined effort saved the entire party from getting wiped out. In the future, I plan to use them with a bit more style, and maybe even take a tip from Corey and make them Grell roaches and use them more and more in a campaign. I also have a question beyond the weapon speed one. What is your opinion of training in 2nd edition? And do you think it is a metagame thinking to have a PC decide maybe partway through the adventure that they need to return to the surface to get training? Thanks for your time, Juan.
That's an interesting question. That's also one of the ideas that we have for a future show for training and progressing on levels, weapon proficiencies. I personally, when we do proficiencies and whatnot, and someone wants to train up, as they say, to get their THACO lower or get levels, my party, specifically in the groups that I play with, when they're quote-unquote breaking camp and they're making camp, they'll say, hey, I have an extra proficiency slot from leveling. Hey, Mr. Barbarian, you actually use two-handed swords. Hey, DM, I'm going to practice my two-handed sword with the Barbarian. To me, that's the training he's getting in the field.
Okay, yeah, I can see that. What about you?
One of the things I dislike about one of the few things I dislike about 1st edition, because I like about everything else, is the training rules, and I don't use them at all. I don't like them. They're a total stop down. I just don't see the need for it. There's not a lot of fantasy literature that supports the training. Nobody takes 4 weeks off to do something. It usually, look at Star Wars. That's a classic. Luke didn't have to stop in the middle of invading the Death Star to train because he was going to go up a level, and I just don't like it. It's not a mechanic I like. But if somebody's learning a language or a new weapon, I might have them stop down a little bit. But normally, I don't pay much attention to it.
Hey, Mike, didn't Luke Skywalker throw a grappling hook and go up a level?
I think he did.
Yeah.
Maybe that was when he was kissing his sister. I don't know.
I don't know. Like kissing your sister. Anyway, so he had a tie. Anyway, me training, I can take it or leave it. I mostly leave it. I feel it's something that happens between adventures. And if you're down in the bowels of, say, Undermountain, no, you're not going to get any training unless the guy's there to train you, and he's going to be too busy fighting monsters. So, and
there's always the free times between room searching when they're breaking camp.
Right.
You find a strange weapon, you're actually going to pick it up and look at it, feel its weight or whatever in real life. So obviously you're down in a dungeon, you find a cool looking gem encrusted broadsword. You're not just going to put it in your pack and be like, okay, I'm ready to use this whenever. It's common sense without saying that you're going to actually play with it on your downtime.
And I'm sorry, go ahead. What were you saying, Mike?
You're not getting any more experience till you go train, and I just never liked that dynamic.
Yeah, that I don't use either. But we can talk about that on a future show. We should have a whole segment of leveling.
Training. Yeah, sure. And our last email, or I should say our third email, is from Ronald Horn. Glenn, you beat me to the punch. I've been contemplating a 2nd edition podcast. One idea I had was to have a host for each campaign setting. If you need another show host, I would love to come on board. I am a DM of over 30 years, many of which was in Ravenloft. I am known as DM Strahd or Demicorn to the message boards. I don't post much, though. I have a few web articles on Kobold Quarterly, and you may know me as DM Ron from call-ins at RFI. All right, we'll keep that in mind, Ronald, and thank you for writing.
Yeah, thanks for writing in.
Good to hear from you.
And listening. Our last email is from Clemens Santerer. Hi, guys. I listened to your 2 podcasts, and I enjoyed them. The different segments of the show saw a professional feel. The intros were amazing. Thank you very much. As I play AD&D for about 10 years now, I never really looked at the other editions. I tried 3rd once, but I hated it from the start. This podcast is perfect entertainment. Are you going to have a look at the different campaign settings? It would be very interesting to hear your opinion on settings like Birthright, Mystara, Planescape, etc. Yes, we are, Clemens.
Allow me to say to everyone out there listening and downloading this podcast, we are going to be having theme shows. We're going to have a Forgotten Realms theme show. We're going to have a Ravenloft theme show. We will be having Spelljammer, Dark Sun, Planescape. It will be coming in, and you're going to be having shows that are going to deal with the monsters from that realm, the politics from that realm, maybe special weapons from that realm. Whatever makes that realm and campaign world special, it'll be on that show.
And we have so many things in 2nd edition we can talk about. We may even take this on the road.
We're very well versed in 2nd edition, so we're going to cover everything having to do with 2nd edition.
Any of you have a con out there that you'd like 3 fanatical 2nd edition idiots who want to talk about it, give us a call. We'll talk.
And we do know that, we only hit maybe 5 or 6 subjects per show about what we talk about. And a lot of those campaign worlds are very, very in-depth, like Faerun or Greyhawk, that we'll do multiple shows of the same realm, just not in a row. So, yeah. Don't worry about it, folks out there. If you got a question or something you want to talk about, just keep writing us in. Let us know in an email, and we'll get to it.
Yeah, that's fine. We're just covering the basics for the next 5 or 6 shows, and then we're going to start getting into the nitty-gritty. Okay, last one is from Clemens Santert again. Wow. He is a busy person. But you know what? I already read that one. So that's all the emails we have this week. And also as far as like different settings, we do have certain experts in the certain campaign fields that we have lined up to come on the show to talk about them too. Like our very own Vince wants to talk about Ravenloft. We have our friend Crispy who wants to talk about Birthright and several other people. So just keep listening and you'll hear a lot of stuff. How's that for the next segue into people skills?
People skills.
The face is familiar.
It's mine.
And so it is.
Oh, yes, of course. It stands out a mile, doesn't it? He's so common.
A little lady comes in here and starts throwing her butt around. What is that supposed to do?
All right, forget I said anything.
Maybe I will.
Well, that's pretty good.
Don't tell me you weren't looking at it.
Well, that's not half bad.
She's giving it right back to you.
People skills.
Okay, people skills. The Rapid Response Rider. What's this all about, Mike?
Well, a Rapid Response Rider comes out of the Dwarf Complete Book of Dwarves, Dwarf Kit. It is a dwarf, basically, that is cavalry. It's a dwarf's equivalent of cavalry.
Okay.
They're mounted on beasts, and they're capable of responding, obviously, rapid responding to any kind of threat there may be. Okay. It's a fighter kit. I had a little... I had to kind of laugh when I read it because they suggest some of the creatures they suggest to use are bears, boars, and dire wolves. I can deal with that, but they also suggest flying creatures such as griffins, hippogriffs, and pegasi. And I just have a hard time envisioning a dwarf with a lance on top of a hippogriff or a pegasi.
Yeah, I'm going to say something here. The Rapid Response Rider. Reading also through the front of the beginning paragraph of the intro of the Rapid Response Rider when they were talking about the mounts, I'm kind of jaded. I'm kind of prejudiced for the Rapid Response Rider because one of my greater campaigns that ran for a bunch of years, one of my friends, Kevin, who had a dwarf Rapid Response Rider, he reached the highest level playable for this race and class, and he went from starting with a boar mount and working his way up to he actually ended up with a hippogriff at the higher levels. Now obviously we didn't start with a level 1 dwarf riding a hippogriff, but It took him quite a long time to learn aerial flight and how to maneuver with it. And they actually role played it really well because there was also a paladin in the group who actually got a Pegasus for his mount. And James's character role played with the dwarf and actually took him up. It was pretty nice. There are a bunch of skills for the role and that come with it. They tell you should take the groom animal handling secondary skill. I personally don't play with the secondary skills. I know a lot of people do. It's an option, The weapon proficiencies that come with it, they can have anything, but they need to be ideally specialized in the lance because they are attacking from mounted combat. It's not bad. I do like the class because if you think about it, humans have cavalry, and all the other classes should have cavalry as well. And this just right here is a specialist kit for a cavalry for the dwarves. I personally like the idea of like a dwarf on the back of a big cave bear, just simply because of their mining down there. How else could they patrol the mining halls or whatnot? And
I keep thinking of the orcs from Lord of the Rings on wargs.
Yeah, exactly.
You got them with a lance or a spear, plus you got the attack ability of the warg. So you got a dwarf with a lance and a bear.
Yeah. And the crazy thing is
I like this quite a bit as an NPC. I think it works really good, as you said, especially if it's something the players aren't considering or aren't taking into account. There may be this kind of dwarf running around.
Yeah, and if you think about it, if you have a small group of players, say you only have 2 or 3 players at your table, you give, a rapid response rider in the party, you've just given your group another fighter. So with the rapid response rider having a bear as a mount or a giant boar or a wolf, you're looking at, another companion in the group or, even supplementing the party for another tank or a fighter. So the class itself is really well put together, I think, and even the bonus for the rapid response rider, it gets a +1 to attack and damage when fighting mounted, which,
wow.
I mean, as a cavalry class, you're looking at the main meat of his abilities from mounted horseback. Yeah.
Like, for instance, like maybe they were attacking a cloud castle or something in the air or on a mountain, and then all of a sudden they see a troop of hippogriffs coming at them, and there's what the hell is that on the back of the hippogriff? Those are dwarves, and they have got lances. So I think that throw that in there just to freak out a party.
Oh yeah,
I like that aspect of them.
And I'm thinking that there's no reason. They always say we're going to go see the dwarves in their hall, and they're so secretive, and they're all in the hall. And there's what? Why can't they take rapid response riders? Why would they not want to patrol their area?
Absolutely, it's
patrols in the outside area around the hall.
I don't know that I would use these as a player character because I like what Corey said about if you have a small party using the bear or the boar as an extra fighter. But have you seen how tough bears are, especially if you're running a first edition fighter or even a direwolf or a boar? They've got pretty much more hit points than anybody in the party. And I think that'd be a little rough. You'd be giving one player a huge advantage as a PC. Now, maybe if they were a little higher level, it wouldn't matter as much.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, it's a good thing.
It is. Well, he was saying that he wouldn't use them as a player character.
You would not use them as a player character?
Well,
Actually, you would.
I would, but under certain circumstances, and because the bear and the boars are pretty damn. They do 3 to 12 damage. First level character riding a boar is going to be a hell on wheels. But now, if they were a little higher level, I might introduce a rapid response rider into the party because it wouldn't be it wouldn't tilt the party so much towards that dwarven character. As a first level character, I'd be a little leery.
Yeah.
Agreed. But in my opinion, it's just like a druid having a companion. Say a druid has a wolf or, the ranger has a pet. But the thing I like about this is because they're dwarves and they have a mount, Dungeons and Dragons, the first word is dungeons. They wouldn't have a problem shoving their bear into a cave or down into a dungeon corridor.
You could. Yeah. Pet bear.
Yeah, that could be a plot point, too, because it also says you can ride mules or horses. I guess if you picked a mule and you're going to the dungeon, the mule decides it is not going to go in the dungeon. That could be a kind of a funny little campaign screw-up.
Sure, it doesn't have to be a mountain dwarf. It could be a hill dwarf. They're not used to underground.
That's right. Bring out the bear. Well, how would you guys use rapid response riders, or have you? Why don't you tell us about it? THACOshammer@gmail.com. And I think we're ready for Magic Fingers.
It's Magic Fingers time.
Eeny, meeny, chili beanie, the spirits are about to speak.
Well, it just so happens that your friend here is only mostly dead.
Sounds like a lot of supernatural baloney to me.
Supernatural, perhaps. Baloney, perhaps not.
Magic Fingers. Magic Fingers. We got, as usual, a mage's spell and a priest spell. First up, we got Corpse Visage.
Tell us about Corpse Visage, Glenn.
Corpse Visage. Corpse Visage is from the Wizard Spell Compendium, number 1, page 185. And basically what it does is turn your face into that of a rotting corpse. Now the spell didn't say if it turns it in there or it's an illusion. But
I think it is an illusion.
Yeah, any creature of 4 hit die or less is going to check for fear or run to the hills. And that, to me, is a very useful. So I like to use this with, what is the name of that? What's the name of that spell that you can cast a touch spell from a distance?
Spectral Hand?
I like to use it with Spectral Hand. It comes in really handy. I've been in a situation, there was one situation where we're in a room in a dungeon, and we come across these 4 orcs playing cards, and they didn't see us, and one of the orcs was back to us. And so I cast a Spectral Hand, and then I shot it, and I shot Corpse Visions through it and touched the one with his back to us. The other 3 looked up, failed their fear checks, and ran. Out of the room.
Nice.
Other door didn't even turn around. Somebody stabbed him in the back. Boom, problem solved.
I do like that aspect. You can cast it on yourself or somebody else. Because it does not differentiate between your party members or your enemies. So if you cast on yourself, you got to be careful because if your buddy turns around and sees you looking like a rotting corpse, he's going to have to make a save also, and he may turn out he's hauling ass to the dungeon too, which you might not want. But casting it on a leader type of the enemy is pretty good strategy, I would think.
Oh yeah, that's why you had to hurry up and stab him in the back. You didn't want him to turn around or anything. Yeah. So how about you, Corey?
I thought of a couple of nifty ways of using this spell. This is a very highly utilitarian spell. First of all, say that players can't get into an area because it's guarded and it's.
Wait a minute. I should throw out there. Obviously, it's a necromantic spell.
Yes, illusion and necromancy. Yes.
Anyway, go ahead.
But imagine, there's a small area where the players want to go tomb robbing, or there's a dungeon underneath a tomb, but they're not allowed in the graveyard because, it's guarded or whatever. Easily put a thief in a coffin, cast Corpse Visage on them, and they can all act like they're burying the dead.
Yeah.
The guards would be like, what's going on? They look in the coffin. Oh, yeah, okay, you got a corpse there. All right, wheel it on in.
Or he'll fail his save and run for the hills.
Or even better if the fighters are all dead and the cleric's dead and everybody's dead except the mage and there's some undead coming at him or even some monsters coming at him. Then he could just cast this quickly on himself and lay down and the orcs walk by and like, oh, dead body, keep going.
Yeah.
Playing chicken or possum.
It is worth knowing on the spell though. It only works. Now, you can cast on anybody, and they can just save and throw whether or not it works on them. But it only works on creatures with low intelligence or higher and with 1 hit die or less. So it's probably not good against to use a dragon. Matter of fact, the dragon's going to laugh at it. But it's a very good low-level spell to use orcs, goblins, creatures like that.
A vampire or a lich are going to go, yeah, right. That kind of thing.
Scary, yeah. They're not going to fall for it.
The stupider they are, the better it works. I'm such a weak-willed fools. But what level is this?
This is level 1. It's a level 1 mage spell.
That's right. It is. So
and the duration is 1 round per level, so it will last a little bit, especially out of combat.
So it will get better as you level up.
Yeah, I like this quite a bit. I think this has a lot of use in a campaign, especially an NPC type spell that an evil necromancer can throw on himself or throw on the party to kind of screw him around. I don't know how useful it would be at higher levels, but there's a lot of spells like that are only utilitarian at first level, and I think this works out pretty good.
I love spells like this. Anything like that, or if you have the major offensive spells and spells like this that would support that.
Right.
And give it to, like I said, to talk to, I don't know if this is another show, we were talking about cantrips. I said the yawn cantrip is great because you hit somebody with a yawn, it makes them more susceptible to the sleep spell that you're going to follow up with.
Sure.
That kind of thing. And
the other thing I was thinking of, I didn't mean to interrupt. Go ahead, Glenn.
No, I'm just going to say that's the beauty about these support spells.
Thinking from a DM side, this could be particularly nasty spell because this is how I think because I'm a DM.
Of course.
If you have the evil necromancer wizard down in his laboratory or whatever working on his magic, he's going to protect his area with, say, a flesh golem. Well, he's going to cast Corpse Visage on this flesh golem, and he's going to have permanency. Yeah. What happens to a party whenever undead are met and there's a cleric in the party? The cleric steps forward, holds out his holy symbol, and attempts to turn undead. Right. Well, that just puts him right in line for a flesh golem who's going to not even worry about the undead turning.
Those 2 attacks at 2 to 16 points of damage. Boom, boom. Yeah,
now the party doesn't have a cleric, so yeah, it could be a nasty spell.
Oh, very nasty! My God. Yeah, there's a lot of use on there. Give us your opinion on that. And what else? We have a clerical spell called Puffball. Now, I know nothing about Puffball.
I think I suggest this because actually I include this in my campaign, and I'll go ahead and read you a little description. You cast it on a mushroom. It lasts for 2 rounds level. While it's in effect, you can throw that mushroom, and it releases a cloud of spores 10-foot diameter. If you're caught in the spore, you have to the cloud spore. A spore cloud, you have to make a saving throw versus poison, or you suffer an attack of coughing and choking. You can't make any attacks, and you lose all dexterity bonus to your armor class and saving throws while you're choking. It doesn't have a very long duration. It's 1 die 3 plus 1 round. It's only 2 to 4 rounds. But I like it because it's a little, when you have a druid, everybody loads up on Fairy Fire and Entangle. Those are your go-to spells. And this gives it kind of a little extra. This is kind of a spell that might come in handy in other situations where maybe you don't have the means to entangle, and you want to put some foes out. You want to knock them unconscious.
Okay, that sounds really good.
Yeah, it seems like an effective spell, especially for first level. I mean, it's a ranged spell, first level for a druid, and it's a grenade-like missile, so It actually gives the druid a way to be somewhat offensive, even if it is a defensive type spell. I mean, he can still help the party, and not just sit back and talk to plants or whatever. Not a big druid fan myself, but
you're in a forest primeval, and you got a squad of orcs or goblins coming at you, and they're standing right in front of mushrooms. Oh boy! Take out the first row right there.
Absolutely, yeah. They're perfect defensive spell.
And when you throw it, it acts like a grenade type. You use the grenade-like missile table, so it doesn't actually have to hit the creature. It just has to hit within 10 feet of them for it to take effect.
Area effect spells are so nice for the evil DM and for the innocent players.
Absolutely. Good spell.
And you find that where?
It's in the. I think it's in the Druid's Handbook, but the one I'm looking at now is in the Priest's Spell Compendium, Volume 2, page 474. But I think it is in the Druid's Handbook.
Okay.
Let's ask the people listening what they would do with these spells. You can email us over at thacoshammer@gmail.com or the voicemail number at 405-806-0555.
Thank you, Corey. And now, Rule 0.
One would think you've been doing this all your life.
We'll remember you said that.
I know. I'm sure you hate me just enough.
Rule 0.
Rule 0, armor, wear, and tear. You know that stuff doesn't stay pristine forever. You do have to take care of it, and it's going to wear out. How do you handle that in your game?
Armor, wear and tear. It's something that I do personally because my group does use proficiencies, and it's an option. And I think with the proficiencies, you have these people who take weaponsmithing, leatherworking, blacksmithing, and they take these stats. They don't do anything with them. And I've noticed from my party that they take them, but they don't use the abilities or the proficiencies when the time comes. They'll go to the blacksmith and they'll buy something, but they won't go and ask the blacksmith, do you mind if I make something? Or they find an anvil and make something themselves. They'll just rather just go pay for it because they just got their ill-gotten gains out of the bottom of some dungeon. With armor, wear, and tear, what I usually do is all I need, instead of making thousands of rules and adding so many rules into this, all I do is I just make the players let me know, hey, I'm working on my armor. Hey, I'm going to repair my armor. If they let me know this from time to time when they're taking a break or, they've undressed and they're getting during their sleep, I don't too much worry about it. But if they're down in a dungeon for, say, 7 days and they've fought 15 encounters and they've taken, thousands of hit points of damage and the cleric has blown through his heal spell 7 or 8 times in a row, those are holes in their armor that need to be worked on. And if the player doesn't say anything to me, I will slowly start raising their armor class up. point by point.
Yeah.
Because eventually your armor will fall apart, and it's a fact. So unless the players
hit points are only representative. You're not actually taking that much damage, and the hits are going somewhere, and they're going on your shield and on your armor. So it's logical to expect your armor to take wear and tear.
Yeah, exactly. It's going to happen in real life. It'll happen in the game. And you've got to have a system, not really have a system, but some way to address that, because otherwise the players are going to take advantage. It's like, oh, well, I've been down to the 12th level of the dungeon for 5 days, and I'm still fresh as a daisy, shiny armor and all that. No, you're not. No.
Right. What do you do, Glenn?
What do I do?
Or do you consider using this, or do you think it's not a viable thing, or?
Well, I do as a player, I do take the time to say at the, when we're breaking for camp, I'm cleaning my sword, I'm cleaning my armor, I'm checking my armor, just as if I was playing, say, a wizard. I'm studying my spells. So I do take the time out to do that. And as a DM, I like to see my players take the time out to do that. Fortunately, all my players do. I say, what are you doing? They come up with a great answer. I'm working on my sword. I'm doing, they know when they break for camp, they got to do the maintenance stuff before they hit the sack. It's not just, okay, who's on watch now?
Right.
And the guy I watch is probably cleaning his armor and sword and shield and making sure everything's okay.
Well, I hope not. I hope he's actually paying attention to the surroundings.
Well, no, they can do both. I can do both. I mean, you're staring and looking around like this, and maybe I'm simplifying this. I don't know, but and I also make sure like my characters have stuff they need, not only flint and steel, but cleaning equipment. I mean, I don't get real, obsessed about it. But, okay, I've got this. This is oil for my sword. Fine. Cool. We're cool. I got the rest of the stuff. Fine. I'm not going to be a nitpicker about it as a DM. Just so long as, I see the characters doing that. If they don't do that, then I start asking the questions. Okay, third day down in the dungeon. How's your armor holding out? What do you think?
Right.
I personally don't give them that. I'll just be like, okay, your AC is now 7. You've woken up. You put your armor on. You notice there's a couple of holes in it. Oh, wait, what? Oh, damn, I didn't do that last night. All right, guys, I'm not the frontline fighter. I'll be in the back until we take a break so I can work on my armor.
Sure.
Or not even tell them. Just be like, okay, that hit. Wait, but I have an AC 1. No, you had an AC 1 a week ago when you entered a dungeon. You're now 4 levels down, and it's been 2 weeks. Yeah.
Well, see, I'm also from. My dad used to belong to a rod and gun club, and he used to do a lot of trap and skeet shooting. And he taught me. It just comes out. You clean your weapons. After you're done, he took it home, cleaned them out, and all that kind of stuff. So it's kind of ingrained in me. And so in my characters, like, what are you doing? Cleaning my sword. Okay, fine.
I should probably do more with this, and I have to confess I'm probably a bad DM compared to you two, because I do a lot of hand-waving on this. And I probably should be a little stricter. But there's just so much going on. I like to get to the action, and I don't like doing a lot of out of dungeon role play, but the way you've suggested it works well. Just have a character or have the player actually say, hey, this is something I'm doing, and if they don't let you know that, then there'll be consequences. And I probably should add that a little more to my game that I do.
It just takes a minute.
Yeah, I used to not do this at all, and I used to hand wave it off and just play, okay, let's kick in the next door and find the treasure and whatnot.
Sure.
Until I actually started wearing armor as a hobby for reenacting. Working on armor is something that's necessary. Even if you're using non-lethal, you're using a baseball bat wrapped in duct tape, it still damages your armor. So
yeah,
you learn. You're like, hey, wait a minute. While I'm down there, maybe I should work on my armor,
Yeah, pretty much. Folks, you probably deal with this in your game or not. Let us know.
Let us know. Call the voicemail, 405-806-0555, or the email there, Glenn?
It is thacoshammer@gmail.com. Boy, we got each other trained, don't we?
We sure do.
Oh, brother. Well, guys, time for a snipe hunt.
If you only had a living brain.
What do you think? Escaped gorilla?
Listen, you're making enough noise to wake up the dead.
I don't have to wake him up. He's up.
It's time for a snipe hunt.
And in the snipe hunt, what we're on deck, speaking of baseball bats, on deck this week for snipe hunt, the bone bat.
Bone bat.
Bone bat. Now, this is not in the monstrous compendium, right? This is one of the...
It's not in the main... It's not in the main book, as Mike
appears in
pointed
one
out.
of the annuals. Yeah, it's in the annual 3, and also it actually first appeared in the module written by Ed Greenwood, FA1 Halls of the High King, which is set in the Moonshae Islands. But it's not a realm-specific monster, and it's actually one of my favorite monsters. I love this monster.
What's he do?
Well, it's an undead flying bat. So if you imagine undead being bad enough as it is, imagine it can fly after you and chase you. And not only that, it's able to paralyze you when it bites or scratches you. And it's a very good all-around just evil necromancer helper or evil priest helper. It's got 4 hit die, armor class 7. It's just like a skeleton. It takes half damage from piercing or slashing weapons. You have to use pretty much a mace to put it down. It turns as a ghoul. So you can turn it now. There's a little confusion here because the description says that holy water doesn't damage it. When I run it, I usually make holy water do damage because it's either a construct or undead, one or the other. Right. And it's trying to get the best of both worlds there. It's saying, well, it's undead, you can turn it, but no, you can't hurt it with holy water. I'd say holy water does some damage to it.
Now, I don't have a picture of it, but is it like a skeleton? It's all bones and stuff?
Sure. It's just a bony bat, and they're very large. They're actually made from the bodies of giant bats, so their size is about 5 foot, 6 foot tall. I mean, they're large creatures. They're not tiny little bats.
Okay.
And they're also very good for dungeons where there's no living creatures because you go in the dungeon that nobody's opened in 50 years, and so what are you going to have in there? Well, you're going to probably have some slime, some molds, some undead. Well, this is kind of a good little guardian creature you can throw in that dungeon because they've basically been sitting there for 50 years just guarding the the treasure chest or the altar of the evil priest.
Yeah, it shows in the actual annual there that its size is medium, 5 foot to 6 foot. Now, I don't know if that's wingspan or height.
I think that's wingspan, yeah.
The picture of it shows, the picture in the entry shows like some kind of vampire Nosferatu with this thing on its shoulder like a parrot. And it's easily 2.5 feet, but it's in a seated position, so it's probably pretty beefy. I mean, it's a good-sized creature. And there's 2 to 8, which means, you could have some problems with this.
That would make a nice necromancer or lich familiar.
Yeah, actually it would.
Oh, yeah. And I also forgot to add one of the best parts of it. It can see invisible creatures within 60 feet. So the thief ain't sneaking by the bone bat to get the chest. The bone bat's going to see him and chomp. It's going to jump right on him.
If I was a wizard, if I was the necromancer down in the dungeon and these things came at me, if I had that last week's blast bone spell, I'd have so much fun. Pull! 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 These sound like badass little mofos. I know I wouldn't want to run into one.
I like to use these against the lower level part. Now, they're 4 hit die. They're kind of tough, but a low-level party can take one on, but it can be a pretty tough combat. I like to put these in a lot of abandoned tombs, old magic user lairs nobody's been in for a while. And as I said, I like to use them as buddies of like an evil necromancer or an evil priest, and they work out pretty good. They're a good kind of WTF monster, like, what is this thing? I've never seen this before, especially people that haven't played my campaigns before. They don't know what the heck to do with it. They just know they don't want it around them. They don't want it to bite them. And,
now, what did you say the attacks and the damage were again?
It does 2 die 4, but it paralyzes.
Okay.
Yeah. It only paralyzes 1 die 6 plus 2 rounds, so it's not totally overpowered. But it can be pretty nasty if you have 2 or 3 of these and they start biting people. It's kind of like ghouls. Ghouls not too awful a monster unless people start failing their saving throws, and then you've got a problem.
Yeah, start touching you and you're freezing, and oh my god. Oh man!
There's something else. There's something else I noticed on here. The bone bath can carry single objects weighing up to 3 pounds on which they get a good grip. They can often fetch keys, wands, and the like for their masters. They cannot trigger magic items, but are sometimes fitted with wire-on protective devices to strengthen them as guardians. I can see this as a lever puller for a pit trap.
Nice. Yeah. Yes, very good.
Yeah, or a pulley grabber for like a small positioned a la Roadrunner Wile E. Coyote, large rock perched high up above. You could use this as a utilitarian monster too. It's pretty effective.
How about one dropping a Molotov cocktail and the one behind it dropping a lighted torch or lighted match?
Or even give each of its claw foot a small vial of acid and have it fly over the party.
Sure.
Oh yeah. What's the chance of like tweaking it? Like say, I decide, well, I want to give it a drain attack out of say a white or a vampire.
If this thing is a pet and a messenger and a guardian and a servant of undead and high level intelligent undead, that means that they have magic user levels and cleric levels, including necromancy levels. Right. So you're looking at being able to alter these things, however they wish.
Well, they do have one variant called the Battle Bat, which is an extra hit die. It's a little slower. The armor class goes down to 8, but it's got additional attacks. In other words, additional claws or sharp objects have been grafted onto it, so it can do a little more damage when it rakes you. It does an extra 1 die 4+1 damage. And it also gives a little tidbit that they can have sting jabs. It's either been tipped with a poison by the controller or some kind of device that's basically shooting poison out of it.
Got it. Nice, very nice. Oh man, I could be so evil with one of these things.
Yeah, I may use it too much. I think my characters they see these things and they just start running now because they know pretty much any abandoned.
Oh, these are your grills. I see.
Yes, pretty much. Yes.
Okay, and once again, they're in the annual. Okay, FA1. Got it. Okay, well, that's the Bone Bat. Try it out. Let us know.
Let us know. Give us an email.
The emails, I think it was hammergmail.com. And now for our final segment, the DM's Rag.
Well, that's quite a story.
I think it would be fun to run a newspaper.
And here it comes, right over the old plate.
The DM's Rag. DM's Rag. Mike, dungeon number 33. What is it?
Well, this is actually, I think I suggest this one. This is one of my favorite all-time dungeon adventures. It's called The Siege of Kratis Freehold. Mm-hmm. And it's the setup's not really that important because what it involves is there's a freehold on the edge of civilization, and it's being attacked by a horde of orcs. Mm-hmm. And by hook or by crook, your player characters are there. It's actually a very non-railroady setup. Anytime you're in the wilderness, you can come across this freehold. It's got a fighter, high-level fighter, and his wife, and they have
their kids.
Yeah, they've got the people in there. They've got a few troops. He's got his kids. I think they're second-level fire, second-level rangers. What happens is they're attacked by a horde of orcs, over 100 of them, who also have an ogre helping them. They have a witch doctor. And fun ensues from there because what your characters do at that point is they can't get out. They're surrounded. They have to help the freehold survive, either fight their way out or hopefully fight off the orc horde and keep the freehold in one piece.
Until the cavalry can get there.
Yeah, until the cavalry gets there, or until they finish the orcs off enough to where they retreat. I really, really enjoy this adventure. I've run it at least 3 times. Every time it's turned out completely differently because different groups have different ideas about how to defend the freehold. Now, one thing that it does I think is really interesting is it gives you a list of exactly what's in the freehold. It says, here's the characters, here's a list. It gives you a long equipment list. Here's everything you have in there. Use your imagination. Do what you want to do. Because at the one of the plot points is the main the leader of the freehold, Terran Kratis, has become injured, and he can't defend his freehold as he would like. So it gives you this long list of items, different weapons, miscellaneous items. Miscellaneous items I like the best because it gives you all kinds of stuff. And you have to decide how you would use these to hopefully stop the orcs because you're outnumbered. You do have the position of high ground and you're behind the walls, but this adventure is for characters of 1st through 4th level. So you're not very high level. You're not high enough level just to go in there and just smash through the orcs. You've got to wait out the siege.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah, I noticed in the module here that it's listed instead of by encounter, it's listed by days. So it gives you a different type of module, than your normal encounter 1, encounter 2. It's actually set up uniquely. I do like the way they set it up.
And the players are playing. They're playing their characters, but they are also playing everybody in the freehold.
Right. So you get to set them up. You decide where you want the fighters set up. What I did was the last time I ran this really recently. The last time I ran it, you can draw out the freehold on a large hex map, and basically you tell the players, here's what you have, here's what you got, and these things are going to happen at certain times. So you tell me what your guard system is. Do you have people watching at night? You've got some guard dogs. You've got different creatures that you can use. You've got war horses. What are you going to do? And you let them place the critters and the soldiers where you want to place them. So it's really neat because it's all up to them. It's however they feel like the best way to defend the freehold.
Yeah, and that is entirely in their hands. And this is kind of a tactical thing. They said you could probably use the battle system to play it, but they gave you this system which to me works just as well, if not better, for this for the scenario. What I was kind of I pulled out the D&D rules cyclopedia after I read it, and I thought, what if you could do this with the War Machine rules or the Siege Machine rules in D&D? Nice. And he says, well, yeah, you can, because that reduces it down to a formula for every round or every day or whatever. But then I started looking through it and going, this completely ruins the module.
It's not that hard to run. There's not that many bad guys that you have to use troops. You can do it all individually. I've done it before, and I've actually scratched off hit points per orc. I've written out hit points for 110 orcs. It's not that hard to do, to where I think you'd have to use a battle system or siege engine.
Well, I looked at this, but I looked at the siege engine. I'm going, it'd work fine, but the battle, the scenario lasts like maybe an hour. Because Siege Machine and War Machine just reduces everything to formulas. You go 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, you're dead. Or 1, 2, 3, 4. They're gone. That's it.
No, you don't want to do that with this. You want the flavor in here. You don't want to do that with this. You want to fight it all out individually, and you want to see what the characters come up with the players. Last time they had some great ideas that the players I'd run in the previous 2 times had never thought of, and we had a ball. They managed to dig holes in the gate, inside the gate, pour the tar and pitch in there, and let the orcs come in. Come on in. They opened the gate so the orcs bust in, fall into the pitch and tar pits, and then somebody's sitting there with a torch.
I was going to say, drop the torch.
Yeah, it got ugly. Then they also there's also they say there's 150 sheep in the stronghold. Oh, well, they use the sheep. They basically, when the orcs invaded, they let the sheep loose. So you've got 150 sheep who are scared as hell running around like nuts, and the players are up on the battlements with bows and arrows. The poor orcs are getting knocked down, knocked back into the pitch pit. It was just, it's just chaos.
Oh. Only if only it had 150 halflings and plate mail in there, we could have halfling rapid response riders.
Yes.
Could be riding the cows, the sheep, and the pigs. Exactly.
I was going to say, I'd throw every farm animal I could find at them.
Why not? It's your life. You don't
throw the chickens at them. Get the hogs out there.
And they do have hogs. Yes. So I love that aspect of it. That and there's all kinds of. They also figured out they filled the wagons with hay, put pitch and tar in the hay, and placed them right underneath the battlements. Well, they let the orcs crawl up one, because the orcs at a certain point can scale the walls.
Yeah, they get ladders. They make ladders.
Yeah, they let them scale the walls, and underneath the wall, oh look! And so the orcs look over the wall. Look, there's haystacks on the other side of the wall. Great. They jump in the haystacks, and the haystacks are filled with pitch and tar, and the man-at-arms lights it up. Whoosh.
Orc burgers. All right. Oh, that sounds like a fun one. And that is in Dungeon number 33.
Dungeon 33. And the author, Ted James Thomas Zufich, he wrote a few other adventures, and what I like about them is they're very, very low magic. If I remember correctly, there's only about maybe 2 magic items in this entire scenario. I think the head fighter has a magic sword, and there's a potion of healing, and that's it. It's a very, very low magic scenario.
And if you remember it, you do it early enough, you can actually call a druid to come help you, but that's about it.
Yeah, there's not a lot of help waiting for you. The cavalry is not going to arrive for quite a long time.
They're 3 days away, and I hope you send out a rider before the orcs attacked. Otherwise, they're not going to get here and all that kind of stuff. So you're on your own, basically.
That's the way it should be.
I do like the fact that in here, it allows you to set up for a siege, and that's the main point of it. But I like the fact that for the DM, they give you the background for the orcs and explain why and how and what they're doing and the mindset of their leader. It's not just, okay, orcs are attacking. It actually gives you the background for the DM,
And what I like about that and the fact that Kratos is injured and the fact they give you the background of the orcs is, to me, it made it, man, this is serious. This isn't just like, oh, go down the dungeon, kill the orcs. No. All our asses are on the line.
Yeah, if you get screwed up, it's gonna be big.
We got to make this work,
But I like those kind of adventures. I like making the players or the heroes. The players are the ones that decide what happened. They're not waiting around for somebody higher level to necessarily help them. They have to rely on themselves.
And the situation is serious. This is not a lighthearted adventure. And I loved it.
Last time we ran it, they did pretty good. They got half the freeholders killed, and the Terran Kratos' son killed. But they didn't lose any party members. They had some pretty nasty combats here and there, and they managed to kill off everybody. I think, but the witch doctor and the leader managed to escape. So it was a really fun time. I mean, it's a nice adventure. It probably take you all day. But it is a lot of fun, a ton of fun.
Yeah, I have to add into this though, like I do in every one of these dungeon adventures. I found another cool name. That orc shaman's name is just awesome. Goon Jabba. Goon Jabba. It's my new orc leader's name, Goon Jabba. That is great.
I like the ogre. What was the ogre's name?
Bo.
Hey, Bo. Bo the ogre.
We got him. Pick up the door, Bo.
Yeah. So, ratings. Let's do ratings, 1 to 5.
This is one of my favorite dungeon adventures. I'm going to give it a 5.
A solid 5.
I've run it several times. Never had less than a good time with it. It fits almost any system. You could run it with basic, first edition, second edition, no problem at all. It's very versatile. It's a lot of fun. I give it a 5.
What about you, Corey?
It's actually a good adventure. Reading through it, I found a lot of useful stuff. The maps, because I am a cartographer freak, the maps are excellent, well done, and it gives you a lot of options to do. Like Mike said, he's run it a bunch of times and he's had different outcomes each time. It's a good. I'd give it a 4.
You know what? I'd give it a 4.5. Only because usually this isn't my kind of scenario, but I could see if I was playing in it, I would just have a hell of a lot of fun.
Sure.
So was it 4, 8, 13 and a half?
4.5.
4.5. Thank you. That's not a very bad. Of course, the Russian judge had to give it a low score. But
I believe this module takes the crown for our modules so far.
So far, all 2 of them. Yes. Okay. Well, I think that's about time to wrap it up, guys. Time to go. Don't forget your dice. Grab some soda on the way out, and
can finally get those Cheetos.
Finally get the Cheetos.
You can contact us at thacoshammer@gmail.com or the phone number for the voicemail there, Glenn.
I don't have it up.
It's 405-806-0555.
You are on it, Corey. Thank you. And we have DM Mike. Say goodbye.
later, guys, and remember to hit the website and leave some stuff on the forums from us. I love to read the forums and apply stuff.
Absolutely. On Dragonsfoot, you'll find us. And Corey?
Or on purpleworm.org.
Yes,
Doggone it. We almost missed it again.
I can't believe that.
Purpleworm.org. There, I said it like 3 times. Purpleworm.org. The place for second edition talk.
The best Chewy site online.
Oh, yeah. One more thing. Forgot about this. Don't forget the T-shirts. We got some nice T-shirts now for THACO's Hammer, and they're on sale at THACO'sHammer.info, our website. They're $13, so it's a bargain.
Check them out, everybody. They look beautiful.
They are beautiful. So say goodbye, Corey.
Good night, everyone.
Good night. And for me, DM Glenn, we'll see you again next time when the hammer comes down on THACO's Hammer. Bye-bye.
Later.
Be sure to visit our website at THACO'sHammer.info. If you have any questions or comments, email us at THACO'sHammer@gmail.com. Remember, that's an O, not a 0. You can also leave us comments in the second edition forum at Dragonsfoot.org. See you next time when the hammer comes down on THACO's Hammer.